difficult for ordinary people is easy for the Buddha. 3. Finally, by their perfume and their freshness, lotuses are very suitable as offerings. It is as with human gifts where variety is desirable. Question: why should lotuses be used and not other things? Answer: worship uses flowers, perfumes and banners exclusively. Flowers for a twofold reason, because of their color and their smell. Question: but other flowers also have color and smell. Why does Ratnakara use only lotuses as offerings? Answer: in the Huashu King Kusalamula Samparagraha Sutra, it is said, the Buddhas of the 10 directions offer flowers to the Buddha Sakyamuni. Moreover, there are 3 kinds of lotuses: human lotuses, divine lotuses and bodhisattva lotuses. The human lotus is a big lotus with 10 petals, the divine lotus has 100 and the bodhisattva lotus has 1,000. In Ratnakara's universe, there are many golden lotuses with 1,000 petals. In Sakyamuni's Saha universe, there are indeed 1,000-petaled lotuses, but they are artificial and do not grow in the water. This is why Ratnakara sends him 1,000-petaled lotuses golden in color. Question: why does the Buddha Ratnakara ask samanatarasmi to scatter these flowers on the Buddha? Answer: these objects of worship are flowers, perfumes and banners. Banners must be erected, powdered perfumes burned, wet perfumes spread on the ground, and flowers thrown. Question: why not present them instead of throwing them? Answer: offering with the hand is a bodily action. Speaking in a gentle voice is a vocal action. The action that gives rise to gesture and voice is called mental action. These 3 actions produce the solid qualities that give rise to Buddhahood. Question: why does Ratnakara say, be careful? The bodhisattvas in the Saha universe are difficult to reach and difficult to vanquish. Answer: -1. The Buddhas, pratyekabuddhas, arhats and all the aryas are all very mindful. For Mara's army, the inner fetters and the multiform retribution of the sins of previous lifetimes are like many brigands of whom one must be careful when they are approached. Thus, when one goes among the brigands and one is not careful, one is captured by them. This is why Ratnakara advises samantarasi to be very careful while going about in this universe. 2. Moreover, the human mind is often distracted. It is like a madman or a drunkard. Resolute mindfulness is the entryway to all the qualities. By concentrating the mind, one successively obtains dhyana, real wisdom, deliverance and finally the destruction of suffering. Those are the advantages of mindfulness. Thus, 500 years after the Buddha's parinirvana, there was a bhiksu called Yopo-sikyu. He was an arhat with the 6 abhanas. At that time he was the great teacher of Jambudvipa. At that time, there was a 120-year-old bhikshuni who had seen the Buddha when she was young. One day Upagupta went to her cell to ask her about the behavior of the Buddha when he was visiting. He had previously sent a pupil to the bhikshuni and this pupil had announced to the bhikshuni, "My great teacher Upagupta is coming to see you to ask about the behavior of the Buddha when he was visiting." Then the bhikshuni filled a begging bowl with oil and set it under the fan at her door. She wanted to test the behavior of Upagupta and his mindfulness. When Upagupta entered, he pushed the fan at the door and a little bit of oil spilled. Upagupta sat down and asked, "You knew the Buddha. Tell me, what was his manner when he was visiting?" The bhikshuni replied, "When I was young, I saw the Buddha entering a village one day. The crowd shouted, 'There is the Buddha!' I followed the crowd outside and saw the Buddha's rays. As I bowed before him, a gold pin that I had on my head fell to the ground into a thick bush. Immediately the Buddha illumined it with his rays and, as all the dark corners were visible, I found my pin. As a result of that I became a nun." Upagupta questioned her further. "And, at the time of the Buddha, what were the manners and courtesy of the bhiksus?" She replied, "At the time of the Buddha, there was a group of 6 impudent, shameless, wicked monks. But, in regard to their manners, they were better than you. I had noticed that today. When they passed through my door, at least they did not spill my oil." Depraved though they were, they knew the rules of monastic courtesy. Walking, standing, sitting or lying down, they miss nothing. Although you are an arhat endowed with the 6 abhanas, you do not measure up to them on this point. Hearing these words, Upagupta was very ashamed. This is why Ratnakara advises, samantarasmi. Be careful. Mindfulness is the mark of an honest man. Why does he advise him to be mindful? The bodhisattvas of the saha universe are difficult to vanquish, to attain, to destroy and to meet. Like the great king of the lions, they are difficult to vanquish and destroy. Like the king of the elephants or the king of the nagas, or like a great fire, they are difficult to approach. These bodhisattvas actually have the great power of merit and wisdom. Those who wish to conquer them and destroy them will not succeed and will risk perishing themselves. This is why they are difficult to approach. Question. Given the great qualities, their wisdom and their sharp faculties, all the great bodhisattvas are difficult to approach. Why does the sutra attribute this difficulty of access to the bodhisattvas of just the saha universe? Answer. -1. Because this comment refers only to a bodhisattva of the Ratnavati universe, namely, samantarasmi. Coming from afar, he will notice that the saha universe, different from his own, is full of stones, sand and rubbish. That the bodhisattva is small. In short, that everything there is different. And he will necessarily have suspicions. This is why his Buddha Ratnakara tells him, be very careful, for the bodhisattvas of the saha universe are difficult to approach. 2. Furthermore, people born in the blissful abodes often lack exertion, intelligence and wisdom. This is why people of Yuyan Loway are so happy that among them there are no monks or followers of the precepts. It is the same among the gods. In the saha universe, the causes for happiness are rare. There are the 3 unfortunate destinies: old age, sickness, death, and the exploitation of the soil is arduous. This is why its inhabitants easily feel disgust for this universe. At the sight of old age, sickness and death, their minds are filled with distaste. At the sight of poor people, they know that their poverty is a result due to previous existences and their minds feel great distaste. Their wisdom and theokeen faculties come from this disgust. By contrast, the Ratnavati universe is made out of 7 jewels and full of all kinds of precious trees. The bodhisattvas have whatever food they desire at will. Under these conditions, it is hard for them to feel disgust. This is why their wisdom is not very sharp. If a sharp knife is left in good food, the knife becomes rusty because although these foods are good, they are not suitable for the knife. But if the knife is rubbed with a stone and scoured with grease and ashes, the rust disappears. It is the same for the bodhisattvas. Those born in a mixed universe like the saha universe have sharp knowledge and are hard to approach. On the other hand, for those who spare their efforts, suffering has too much power and too much effect. To feed a horse and not to ride it is to make it useless. 3. Finally, in the saha universe, the bodhisattvas abound in skillful means. This is why they are difficult to approach. This is not the case in other universes. Thus the Buddha said, I remember that in the course of my previous existences I offered 1,000 human existences in order to save beings. But although I was endowed with qualities, the 6 perfections and all the Buddha attributes, I was unable to do the work of a Buddha. Indeed, it was only by skillful means that beings are saved. This is why